Hey, Bobby. I'll be damned, man. I'm doing this video for someone who asked me if I could try to explain to them what it is that I do with my horse that encourages him to be lighthearted and happy and interactive the way he is. And it's a bit of a challenge because it's more than just doing one specific thing or teaching him one or two different tricks. It's like a whole training philosophy. It's kind of like with your child. If you're not looking at teaching the child science, you're looking at the overall way that they're being. I'm in no way trying to personalize my horse when I say that he's as smart as a 2-year-old child. That's been found in research studies. Dogs and horses are in general as smart as a 2-year-old child. And I'm not in any way saying that you should treat your horse like it's a child or like it's a human being. I'm saying treat it like it's a horse, but treat it as if it's as smart as a child. In this next clip, try not to focus on what I'm saying, but try and focus on what's going on in the background. You can hear a motorcycle and a four-wheeler in the background. When you see my horse reach over and touch his nose to my face, he's doing something that you see the number 2 horse would do to Alpha. The number 2 horse in a wild horse herd would inform Alpha of something that it was a little concerned about and ask Alpha for reassurance. But on the other hand, that gesture is not a gesture you would see a wild horse use. And this is one of my concerns with natural horsemanship training. They concentrate so much on what a wild horse does that they don't consider so much that there's an overlap, and the domestication of a horse will bring out new ways of communication. This cue that he does where he touches my face, he's asking me for reassurance. He'll also do this in a situation where he's overwhelmed. If he feels overwhelmed, he'll do that over and over again. And what he's saying is, I don't get this, I don't get this, why is this happening? Please make it stop, or tell me it's okay, do something. And so when I see my horse do that, it's very important that I offer him enough reassurance or stop what I'm doing so that he's not overwhelmed. Oh my God, they'll be killed. We all stopped to look around to see who was going to be killed. And to this day, I still laugh because the bull actually stopped and was looking around. And we finally figured out she was talking about us, that we were the ones that were going to be killed. That's a good boy. And she said, move very slowly over. Hey, what a nice job. I had eggs for breakfast. I did. I had eggs for breakfast. That's a good boy. How about we do the barrel? Want to do the barrel? What a good boy. Yay! Good job, Ruby. Good job. That's very nice. That's very nice. That's a very nice good boy. Uh-oh. Where's he going? Where's he going? Huh? We'll do the barrel again. Good. Uh-oh. Oh, he made it stand up. Yay! Good job. He says, I knew I'd get it. I knew I'd get it. Yes, I did. I knew I'd get it. Yes, I did. Whoa, there we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You did it. All right. Put your head down for me. That's a good boy. That's very nice. I find a lot of times behavior problems with horses arise because the horses have no control. Sometimes I hear people say, well, the horse gets his balance of control over his life and situation when he's out in the herd with the other horses. But actually, you need balance in every relationship. That would be like saying you don't need any balance of control in a marriage because the person has the balance of control in their job area. every area of your life needs to have balance. And it's the same with a horse and a person that's working with that horse. Walk up. Walk up. I let this horse make some decisions. As you could see when I first came out to put the halter on, he didn't look to me like he was too into doing schooling. So I kind of let him do his little kisses and his little barrel thing, and then put the halter on him. And we'll go back and we'll do a couple more tricks before we actually do school. And this gave him a little control. He said in his own little quiet way, I'm not quite ready to do school yet. So I let him do something else for a couple minutes. It takes a little bit more time, but I find that it's actually better for the horse to be able to do that sometimes. And it doesn't make the horse so that he won't do what you want him to do. I could come out and halter him right away, but he's in a better frame of mind and a little bit happier because I gave him a couple extra seconds to play and do a couple tricks before I put the halter on. Right, Bubby? He's a good boy. A guy that was over here one day when I was working with Chap chuckled and says, "That as fast as you can send him out." I don't really like that mindset in training. Unless you're working on something like barrel racing where you need to be working on quick starts, then I'd prefer to be showing the horse what I'm preparing him to do and let him prepare himself. If you watch in that little clip, I put the whip on his back so that he gets the idea of what we're going to start to do, and it's also a cue for him to put his head lower. And then I cue him to move out, and I cue him to move out slowly. If the horse hasn't been lunged or worked at all prior to that, which was the case on that day, it's better for them to start out slow and let them to be able to stretch out a little bit rather than just jump right into it. And it also gives them time to formulate in their mind what they're about to do, and it works on form rather than speed. I encourage you to, instead of thinking like a horse so much, to think about your horse and about what you might be doing to your horse. Simple little things like preparing it for what it's about to do instead of just jumping into what you're doing makes the horse a little calmer, a little happier, a little bit more comfortable with his environment. If you think about it in your own world, it's much easier for you if somebody says to you, well, we're about to do this, or we're about to do that, or hey, let's do this, or hey, let's do that, rather than just jumping into it and doing it, expecting you just to follow. Very good. Again, I'm not looking to personalize a horse, but to compare a horse with something that has equal intelligence. A 2-year-old child has a cognitive ability of a horse. And when we teach a child like new words at 2 years old, we give them great praise for the smallest try, the littlest thing. And horses appreciate that same thing. Say a horse remembers something that you trained it the day before and you didn't think it was actually going to remember it, and it does. If you say, oh, wow, you did such a good job, Chap will get all excited about that and he'll get all enthusiastic. And I don't see that with horses. I see a lot of people correcting horses over and over, telling them, no, 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 don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that, directing them, but not giving them any praise for actually doing what they're expected to do. And this, again, is a matter of balance between correcting and reinforcing and encouraging the horse. You have to have very close to equal of both if you're going to have a horse that's real enthusiastic about working. Oh. Good boy. Good job. All right. That's it. That's right. Go back up some more. That's a good job. Very nice. Very nice. Very good. Very good. I was talking to someone about this just the other day, and she said, well, you know, if you're applying pressure and then you release the pressure, that's the horse's reward. If you look reward up in the dictionary, a reward means to receive something of significant value for something that you've done. I don't think applying pressure and releasing is significant value to the horse. Something of significant value would be to praise the horse, pet it, encourage it, give it a food reward, give it a few minutes where it can just run around, do whatever it wants, and then go back to training. That would be a reward for the horse doing something that's well done.
Back up, 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 back up. Yay! Good job, Ruby.
There are a lot of comfy, cozy, feel-good words and that are used in natural horsemanship training, like reward, submissive, alpha, and they don't really describe what's actually taking place. They're, in my opinion, just put there to make people feel good about what they're doing. It's like the word submissive that's used in natural horsemanship training. Many times what people are referring to as submissive is actually the horse giving up. But it's really much more comfy, cozy to tell the owner that I'm making your horse submissive rather than I'm making your horse give up. Submissive, if you look that up in the dictionary, is basically yielding to another out of respect. And that's not what you're seeing in horse training. Yielding to someone out of respect, say in a human situation, would be two vehicles come into a four-way intersection, they're head-on, and they both arrive at the same time and they have the signal light on to go the same way. They sit there for a couple seconds and one goes, go ahead, you go before me. That is a yield of respect. That's a submissive act. You see how small and minor it is in the grand scheme of things. It's not dramatic, it's not huge, it's not big. And when you see submissive happening in with a horse, it should be that same low-key thing that happens. It shouldn't be big, it shouldn't be dramatic. If it's big and dramatic, it's not the horse becoming submissive, it's the horse giving up. If I were to come out and start training you and pushing on you until you moved in the direction that I wanted you to move, and then I stopped pushing on you, would you be absolutely sure that that's what I wanted? Or would there be a little bit of fuzziness there? You could actually think, well, maybe she just got tired of pushing me and she stopped at that point, or several other different options. But you wouldn't be absolutely sure that that's what the person wanted. It's the same with a horse. You push on him until he does what you want, and he has a pretty good idea that that's probably what you want, but you'll need to reinforce it a few times at least, and maybe several times before he actually gets, yes, that's what I want. But if you talk to your horse throughout the day and interact with him, and like when you come in the gate and he moves away, you say, good boy. Or he moves away when you bring in the grain, you say, good boy. And so forth. When you push on him slightly to get him to move in a certain direction, and he moves in that direction, you also, when you release the pressure, say, good boy. He knows absolutely sure, without any uncertainty, that that's what you wanted him to do. And the same is true when you're using clicker training. You click that clicker, there's no doubt in his mind that that's exactly what you wanted. If we were to make a parallel between the horse world and the human world, the alpha in the human world would be an elderly grandmother in a close-knit, caring, functional family. She would be the closest thing we have in the human world to alpha. She's not the boss, and the members of her family are not her subordinates. So often I hear it said that when you're in with your horse, you're a herd of two. A herd in the horse world is very similar to the social group in the human world that you would see at a family member's birthday party or an intimate Christmas dinner. Those are the close-knit family and friends that would be similar to what you'd find in a horse herd. So when you're in with your horse, being that herd of two, are you being socially interactive with your horse in that same way? Or are you really just being boss and subordinate and making yourself feel good by saying, I'm being part of a herd with my horse? I like to videotape my training sessions. I don't always get a chance to look back at them, but when I do, I can look at them and critique what I'm doing. I can realize the mistakes that I'm making and change them. It's important to stimulate your horse's mind, and one way that you can do that is to add trick training. A horse can become very dull from doing the same type of training over and over again, whether it be dressage work or barrel racing or even just for trail riding. The horse does the same or similar training over and over and over again, day after day after day. You throw trick training in there and they actually have to think a little bit differently, and they have to actually learn to use their mind a little bit more, and it sparks their curiosity and their interest too, and it'll brighten the horse up some, and the horse won't be so dull. Count! Very good, boy. Yay! Good job! Good boy! Nice job, Booby! Nice job! I know you can get water on it. Come on! Come on. Come here. You can't get drink on it. You can't have drink on the camera.